Adding some text at the beginning and or end of your video is very important, but it doesn't have to be like Star Wars fancy like this, although I did just look up a 1-minute video on the internet to give that a try. But let me show you another option to do something rather nice and very easily. You will need a program on Adobe Creative Cloud called Bridge. This is going to let us browse a whole bunch of presets very easily for text. Now I've got my text here in Premiere as text in this block. I'm going to hide it right now and use another method. So I'm going to do that by editing my star background. That's where I'm going to put the text. I'm going to use After Effects to do it. Now since I've got this as my actual composition, which you can render and replace if it's acting really laggy, it can actually just pre-render that for you and it'll put just a strip of video there instead. You can even restore it after it's been rendered, but I am going to edit the original After Effects composition, and if it opens up like this, I can simply add a text box right on here. So I've actually got the text copied from my Premiere. So I could go in and I could change the font and everything, the properties of this layer. Let me just find a different font so it looks different. So this text, and maybe increase the font size. There's also options like the spacing in between, but I basically have a text box that is going to let me animate it. So the way to do that is to go to Animation and browse the presets. It's going to open up Bridge, and there are a lot of presets. We are worrying, well, mostly about text, so let's go to the text transitions. So since this is the beginning of my animation, I'm going to go here to Animate In, and there are a lot of options for me. If I select them, then getting it to play, let's see, you can see what that animation does. If you don't like that one, check out another one. So this is like it's typing out. So let's just apply this by double clicking. Because I have that layer selected right here, when I go to Bridge and double click on the effect, you can see After Effects blinking here, and now it's going to type out that text. Now it does sometimes show the effect controls right here. It's even easier to press U on your keyboard. You need to know this one because it will show you where the keyframes are. And so if you want it to go a little slower, I'm just moving those keyframes apart, and it looks like those have been typed out. If you do not like that, it's not always easy to remove those effects. It's not as simple as just deleting the keyframes. And it's sometimes not as simple as removing the 1, 2, 3, 4 different effects that have been applied. So you immediately need to decide whether you like that or not. I'm going to Control-Z undo in order to get rid of it if I decide, you know what, let me try a different one. So here's Center Spiral In. I've applied it before previewing it, because sometimes seeing what's happening over here is a little easier, seeing what it does to your own text. Again, if I select the layer, press U on my keyboard, I can see the keyframes, but look, on this one, there are no effect controls. So this would be the only way to make that go more slowly, is to select those keyframes, and then it will zoom in a little bit more slowly. Keep in mind that that's a full 5 seconds of animation. If I go back to Premiere and I watch it from here, well, it's not there. So what do I need to do? I need to bring that. You see, maybe I just, there it is. So I'm watching star background right here, and it's still spiraling around, and then here comes my model. So you don't necessarily want that to be that long unless you move the model animation. But really, give us maybe 1 or 2 seconds to animate in, and then let us read what it says for a couple seconds. So moving those over wasn't really the best thing to do. So if that's at about 2 seconds, it should be done spiraling in. and then we'll get to watch it, but then it's just going to be on the screen. So what can we do about that? Well, we want to animate that out, or we could just shorten, oops, careful moving. If you grab the end of this, you could just say, well, at 5 seconds I want it to disappear, then it disappears. You could also do things like keyframe the scale. One of my favorites is to then add another effect to it. But this time I'm going to go to my animate outs, and we'll get a second effect that should be applied right at where we are. So this is slide out line by line. Notice that I have another couple of keyframes. They're circles, so I can't really see them. I'm pressing U again, and then they'll fly away. So once again, my star background has an effect where it transitions in, and then they leave. And you check it in Premiere to make sure that it's gone by the time your model starts to show up. Maybe right there is where the model should start to come in. That's 4 seconds in. So I've got a video here with a text animation transitioning in and then transitioning out, and then my model shows. Now notice that my star background is now a little bit shorter. That's why you want more than enough time. Since we've moved that over, we needed stars for a little bit longer. So having one that's exactly 30 seconds might have given us a little bit of trouble if we didn't have enough. Always have a background that is longer than what you could possibly need in case you're going to move things over like that.